For this application, we are going to include a decent number of buttons. Because of this, we won't be able to fit everything into the frame of our phone. To fix this, we use a view group called the scroll view. The scroll view adds a scrolling feature to our layout so that the user can scroll down to see content initially positioned off of the screen. Scroll views only allow for one child view to be placed inside of them. We use the linear layout in order to be able to add more content. The dimensions of both our scroll view and its child linear layout view are set to wrap content. This value sets the scroll view and the linear layout to sizes perfectly large enough to display all of the components listed inside of them. Linear layouts display their components in either a vertical or a horizontal list. Here, we set our orientation value to vertical in order to display our components vertically. Now we will create the main components of our user interface. The first component we add is a text view. This will serve as the header for our application. This app will count our money, so we will set the text of the header to say money counter. The next attribute we define is the size of the text in our text view. In Android, the size of text is measured in scale-independent pixels. Scale-independent pixels scale an application's text components based on the user's specific screen settings. Underneath our header, we are going to display the amount of money calculated. We will display this information using another text view. When our application starts, we assume our starting amount of money is 0, so we give the text attribute of this text view a value of 0. By default, the text inside of our text view is positioned to the far left side of the view. To position our text in the center of our text view, we give the textAlignment attribute a value of center. We will now add a text view to serve as the section header of our first set of buttons. Our first set of buttons will be for our coins, so we will title this section Coins. Our second section of buttons will be for our cash, so we will label this section Cash. Now we are going to add our buttons into each section. For this application, we are going to make our buttons just the right size to display the text we assign to their text attributes. We do this by giving the width and height dimensions of our button the value wrap content. There are 5 possible coins for us to include in our money calculation. These include the penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and half dollar. We are going to make a button for each of these coins, starting with the penny. The only design difference between our buttons will be the text they display. Because of this, after we have finished the code for the first button, we can copy and paste it to make the other ones. Now the same thing will be done to create our cash buttons. Buttons will be created for the $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100 bills. We now have buttons created for all possible coins and dollar bills. This is a good time for us to reformat our code to the recommended format. Our code will work either way, but doing this makes our code neater and easier to read. Now let's run our code to see how our app looks so far. All of our buttons and text views are displayed, and the scrolling functionality provided by the scroll view appears to be working. Notice how our scroll bar is situated in the center right section of the screen instead of the far right. To fix this, we will change the value of the scroll view's width attribute from wrap content to match parent. Because the scroll view is the root view of our app, its parent view is the entire screen. We will now give our nested linear layout the same width as its parent view, the scroll view. This gives the linear layout a width dimension that matches the width of the screen. In order to calculate our total amount of money, let's add a button at the bottom and call it Calculate. Let's make this button a bit larger so that it stands out from the others. Now let's run the code again and see how our layout has changed. Our scroll view now encompasses the entire screen, and we have an additional button at the bottom to provide a final calculation. Now let's change the color of our calculation text. This is done by changing the value of the textColor attribute. Let's see what this looks like. Our calculation text is now displayed in a light green color. Let's take a moment to reformat our code again.